saw a door hanger the guys left. They saw 4, 5, 6 postcards. They saw the TV ad. They saw 3 different Facebook ads that finally hit them. Like, oh, it's convenient now. Let's click that Facebook form link now.
If you've got $60,000 for your budget for marketing, how are you going to spend that?
Which everybody says that direct mail is dead, right?
Welcome back to the Mission Control Podcast. I'm your host, Mike Stearns, with Ascend Digital Agency, and we're joined by Jonathan Broce. What's up, Broce?
What's up, Mr. Stearns? How are you, buddy?
I'm doing well. 2023 is here. We made it through the blizzard. I've got like a clogged tear duct, which makes it look like I got punched in the face. So we're doing side profile, only my good side today. I'll give you a sneak. Oh, yep, right back. Okay.
Well, that's what most Bills fans look like after a hard weekend.
Yeah. How's Kenny Pickett doing for you?
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't watched the game in about 3 months. So.
Yeah, I can't say I blame you. So, welcome, Broce. So you're with MHI Roofing as well as Ugly Roof.
Yes, sir.
All right, and before we dive into those things, we want to give a huge shout out to our sponsor, Roofer, for helping make the Mission Control Podcast possible. For end-to-end sales solutions, clean and pristine proposals, and of course, roof measurements. Hit up Roofer. What is Ugly Roof?
So Ugly Roof, as a company, we provide roof rejuvenation solution I guess the best word is to restore the shingle back to like new condition. Ugly Roof as a business model is we help roofing contractors do more than just bang out roofs. We help them learn to build a repair department. We help them with their sales presentations, with their marketing. Try to help them understand that a repair lead is the best lead. Most guys argue that, but repair leads are the best.
I'm of the same mindset, honestly. Big repair lead guy. I think there's tons of opportunity. They're way more ubiquitous than people explicitly searching to pay top dollar to replace the roof. So, especially in these times where things take a little dip in the economy, or a recession, economic downturn, whatever we want to call it, I think that repairs and being set up to handle those repairs and to be able to provide alternatives to the repair, which is what it sounds like the roof rejuvenation route is paramount to thrive. Yeah.
I agree.
Do you got any numbers on how impactful it is as far as like conversions and why it's a good idea for people to get on the roof rejuvenation train? Because I think the skeptics would say like, it's an old roof, you can make it look better and then it's going to fall apart anyway, or something along those lines.
So it depends on what numbers you're looking for. Are we looking for lifetime customer value? Are we looking for the profit now? Are we looking at closing percentages? Because
big data guy, I want all the numbers, bros.
All the numbers. So all the numbers for $12.7 million, I'll give you all the numbers. No, but at the end of the day, so like what it did for us at MHI, so I can speak directly with that. We went from being a normal, decent closing from like 35, 36 to 40%. To this year, we finished the year as a team at 52%. So, you wind up closing 15% more deals or more. Plus, people want, the best way to look at it is when you're chasing a repair lead, right? Mm-hmm. They are, at that moment, bleeding, and they need help now. So that's the best thing about the repair lead. Now, when you get there, not every roof is repairable. So that's where we differ from competition, I guess, from the Ugly Roof side, is we don't think that every roof is repairable or rejuvable. So it gets you in front of the customer and gets you on more roofs faster and more efficiently.
So 15 north of 15% increase in closing, which is that's a really good number. as far as an increase. Was there any correlation to the ticket size, the average ticket that you guys were closing?
So it's crazy, right? So for years, our average ticket all in has been around, let's say, 12.5, right, for a roof. Our actual average ticket for a roof went up to 16.6, and our average repair, used to be, $1,000, $500, $1,200. Our average this year was $5,100 in the repair department. So we grew all the way around, right? Because now we're hyper focused on just roofing. We go into the home with the right ethical product to give to the homeowner, whether it's a new roof or a roof repair or repair and rejuvenation. You're at that point of where that you can really help the homeowner, make a good decision.
Yeah, I like that. I like that a lot. What about before MHI, before Ugly Roof? What was Broce doing back in the day?
So let's. I'm a Jimmy Buffett song. I'm the son of a roofer, right? So I was raised in the roofing industry. My dad was a sheet metal man. My great grandfather was a sheet metal man. My grandpa was a carpenter and a roofer. So my summers were different than everybody else's. Like I've been on a roof, and I'm not bragging, I'm complaining at this point. From like 8, 9 years old, when I was 13, 14 years old, I was running my dad's roofing crews, in the summertime. I was up on an EPDM roof, and I was teaching guys how to flash an inside corner, the proper way to fold your pig's ear over, and the right way to glue everything. Back before they had all this pressure release film stuff you use, but anyway, so I grew up in the roofing industry. Graduated high school. Could have played some football in college. Didn't do that. Went in the Marine Corps instead. Came home. Went to work at a factory for about 6 months. Hated it. Worked at Lowe's. Hated it. Worked at 84 Lumber. Was okay. I didn't like it. Started up a contracting company in 02. Started building houses. Then we got into building spec houses. Sold that company in 07, like right before the crash, which was actually the best thing I could have done. I didn't really know at the time. Like I didn't understand economics and what was getting ready to happen. But all I knew was 2 years ago I was pre-selling 20, 30 houses at a time before I put a footer in. So I was sitting on 5 houses. So I was like, you know what? It's just time. We've made some money. So we sold out. 2008, I went to work for a roofing contractor, just selling, and haven't really looked back since. I worked for a couple guys along the way, helped build a couple guys, left there, cashed out, and bought into MHI here at the beginning of 2019. So Ty and I have been together now for almost 4 years.
At what point did you become big data guy? Because I got to tell you, I've worked with a lot of roofers, and there's not many. I haven't seen any with as sophisticated spreadsheets as you have.
So it comes down to that, like, I don't know how to put this. People lie, right? But numbers never do. So at the end of the day, when you learned about numbers, it really wasn't a numbers thing until probably, let's say, 2012. I was always a process guy, right? Always an SOP guy. I mean, I guess I got that from sports and military. So I've always had an SOP. Like, we just rebuilt our whole SOP for 2023, and we're streamlining things. We're cutting off tech products and merging everything into one, and having some fun doing it. But so I guess it more started as more like SOP and how to track those SOPs. And how to track the KPIs. Like, what do I've always said that, you incentivize the behavior you want. So to be able to get that, you got to be able to pay somebody, but you got to be able to track it. So it more started with tracking the SOP. Like, how do I track this, right? That's really kind of where it started. Then I took an Excel class. I took a Microsoft Access class. which back in the day I guess was awesome. And then I just started building out, in inventory sheets, worksheets, that kind of stuff. And I just got into the data side of it. Then I just started learning about the demographics of things. Like, okay, so like I started thinking like, okay, so where were my most profitable jobs at? Was it in this zip code or this zip code? Right? And so now I had data so I could go back to. And then I could build on that data. Because historically, like I can tell you, like over the last 10 years, which month of the year is the most profitable in our market, right? So I can even tell you that kind of stuff. Like, when's the most leads come in? How do you fluctuate for sales reps and the ebbs and flows? And like when you're training new sales managers now, like to get them to understand, like, hey, listen, like data's there, the historic data's there. I just take it from each year and I put it in there, and now here's you a new number. So that's really where it started at. Was more just wanting to track the KPIs, and and just making sure that the team could stay on track.
Yeah, because I don't think that intuitively many people would think a son of a roofer would be so entrenched in numbers, data, spreadsheets. And I think that a lot of people would stand to benefit from not necessarily, you don't have to go from A to Z, but becoming more cognizant of the numbers and making database decisions so you can capitalize on trends and be more profitable.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so I think that's the key word in that is trends. That's what we look at. So like it's just like when you're developing a process. So everything in business is trends. When I'm developing a process, or we're looking at our current process, is this the trend or is this an anomaly, right? So like when there's an anomaly, that's a totally different story, right? So it's just an anomaly. It's not part of the normal SOP or whatever. Like you got to know how to handle it and what to go to and how to do things. But at the end of the day, you want to look at the trend.
Did you take out or give less credence to the data collected in 2020? Like, let's say you were saying historically, how does May perform? How do we perform in May? What's our average sales volume? What's our average margin? I feel like May 2020 may have been a little bit tricky.
So it was actually worse in April for the data. I might go. I could go check it out now if you wanted to, but my memory was April was the worst month probably in history. May, towards the end of May, it actually exploded on the roofing side. So,
right.
But it's because we made adjustments, right?
Sure.
So when we made our adjustments, from outside sales to inside sales to like we had everything already set up and ready to go. I already had the concept; it was already built, put on the shelf. We just had to implement and train. So we pivoted within 3 to 4 weeks with our whole sales team, and we actually didn't miss a stride from that point on. It was just more of that fear of even people wanting to talk to you in April.
Right.
Once they kind of broke out of the fear, actually home improvement like probably 3x that year by the time you got to June, because everybody was home now. They're looking at the ceiling like, oh, I didn't have that leak, right? Because as humans, like we walk through life with blinders on. So if I don't have to see the problem, it doesn't exist. But now you're sitting on the couch for 12 hours a day instead of one. You see the problem, you're like, I got to take care of that. So I think that if anything, it exploded in 2020 around the end of May.
Yeah. Now, if you look at the data from April or from May, both would, I think in statistics, what they would call you could draw a spurious relationship if you're stacking that up against like a different April or May, because for better or for
Correct.
worse, the data I feel like in that type of situation would be less telling of a story of what you can expect in next year's April or next year's May.
Correct. Yeah. So you kind of throw that data out when you're when you're plugging stuff in. It's in my overall 10-year spread, right?
Sure.
So I've got it in my data as far as the percentage of business and stuff like that. But when I was setting 2021 goals, I didn't look at 2020 for April, May. Like I looked at 2019 April, May, and adjusted accordingly.
Yeah, and it's being present while you're making those decisions. And the reason I asked that question is because I want to make sure that guys that are trying to focus on these things, that are listening in, make sound decisions, because you can make bad data-based decisions as well. You know, you said people lie, numbers don't lie, but numbers can tell a bunch of different stories depending on how you're looking at them and how you're processing that information and how you decide to act based off of what you're gathering out of it. I love numbers.
Numbers are our friends. They don't lie to us.
You talk about trends, Google Trends, and then someone will tell you that Bing, there's 40,000 searches on Bing, and you should focus.
Yeah, so I mean, don't get me wrong here. Yeah, that's a funny post, right? So don't get me wrong here. Like, the cool thing about Bing is if you know how to do it, you set it up one time and you'll make some money, right? And you'll get some leads. But the thing about Bing or anything else, you know, what it is you got to think is the demographic that is probably 55 plus, right? They buy a laptop, they go buy an HP, they pop it open, they go on there, they use the word I'm Googling something when they're on Microsoft Edge and it's connected to Bing, right? So those are probably some of the juiciest leads. I don't know if I gave away one of your trade secrets, but you know, like nobody's really dumping any money into Bing, and it's real simple, it's real easy, and it's usually a demographic that's ready to buy and has the money.
Yeah.
So, you know, I mean, the younger, like us and younger, are probably on Google. Like, I force my Safari to go to Google instead of on the Safari site.
You ever get one of those instances where it forces you to Yahoo Safe Search?
Oh yeah, I hate those.
It's like fucking malware or something. It's the most frustrating
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
I literally uninstalled the fucking thing like 6 times. I wanted to smash my computer. It happened to me about a year ago. And I'm like, for the life of me, I can't figure this out. And I keep trying to go to Google to figure it out, and it keeps going to Yahoo Safe Search. I'm like, you motherfucker.
That's not fun, right?
No, it's not great.
It's not the best.
Yeah, there's better spots to be. Yeah, so what do you find... What have you found as far as, you know, over your decades of roofing? What are some things that others would benefit to know, especially ones that are running a business?
It's a good question. I mean, the first thing that pops out to me is know your numbers, right? So you shouldn't be in business unless you can afford to be in business. You know, you can't, you know, like if you're working for somebody now, you know, and I'm all about like helping guys, like my sales reps come to say, hey, if I want to start up my own company, I'll dump everything I have into helping them, right? Because I mean, there's enough work for everybody. But I would say this: don't start until you have money, until you have an investor, until you have a line of credit, until you have something to get going. Because the days of you going out there and going from one job to the next job and just living from job to job are coming to a halt quickly, because there's professional guys and there's a lot of private equity money that's going to go in there and just bury you. From this point forward, it's all about branding. You got to build a brand. You got to have a hook. You got to have a link. You got to have something that gets somebody.
We don't
in
say
there.
hook on this podcast.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. Shout out to Tim.
Shout out to Tim, right?
Tim and Tim.
So yes, yeah. I mean, you know, we're you know, so when it comes to that part, I think you got to build a brand, and you got to start with the brand first, even before revenue, even before marketing. You got to have the brand ready to go.
Really?
I think that's the number one thing right now. Yeah, because like when I came here, you know, we had it was Meredith Home Improvements, which is, it's been a family name. It's been in Pittsburgh. You know, it's 44 years now. Everybody knew the Meredith name. Mm-hmm. But the problem was it wasn't a brand. It was a name. And the first thing was our website was this long, right? MeredithHomeImprovements.com. Like nobody can spell Meredith, and nobody can spell improvement. So I'm in there buying misspelled names for myself, so I pop up. You know what I mean? So we just kind of continued with what we were doing, and we started a new brand within the company that we already had. And so we rebranded and we refocused. You know, it was MHI Roofing, right? And now we focus on roofing. We focus on shingle roofing. You know, like we picked a niche of a niche, right? So we're only doing roofing. We're only doing shingle roofing, only shingle roof repairs. only shingle, rejuvenation, right? So that's why we do this every shingle day. That's trademarked. You can call me. You can use it as part of an ugly roof dealership, right? But so I mean, but honestly,
I've
like,
seen it thrown around a lot recently, so I hope that they got their ducks in a row.
Everybody's using a variation of it. What we actually trademarked was we do this every shingle day. So that's our trademark with it. But it's fun. You know what I mean? It's a fun thing. People know it. But again, like, we got hyper focused. Like, we cut out windows. We cut out James Hardy siding. We cut out siding. We cut out soffit fascia. We cut out decks. And when I sat down with Ty, like, it was scary for both of us. It's like, hey, we're a $4.5 million company, and $3 million of that is all these other things. $1.5 million is roofing. How do we go from 4.5 to an aggressive goal of 7 with roofing only the first year in?
Right.
And then COVID hits, right? So we had 19 to prep, 20 to launch, and then we launched right into COVID, and we still did our 7 million in that year. So
yeah, most guys I know were fucking terrified, but ended up thriving in 20.
Yeah,
it was it was a weird time.
We did roofing only since 2020. That's all we
That's fucking crazy.
Yeah,
hell of a time to hit the pivot.
Yeah, heck of a time, man. And now we're pivoting back into, repairs, and we're just cleaning up, man. So it's fun.
Yeah, let's talk more about this branding statement.
Okay. All right.
Are there any caveats that you would like to place on that statement, or?
Well, one is I did a bad job at RoofCon. If you're going there with our conversation, but no. But
what conversation, sir?
Where I didn't have my branded shirt on that day. Yeah, I know. Yeah. But again, the brand is bigger than me, right? The brand becomes what everybody sees. So we've got an orange diamond, right? It's simple. It's nothing crazy. It's just an orange diamond. But that's the brand. People see the brand, right? And we've actually got it to where it says mhiroof.com. So I don't have to put mhiroof.com in my advertisement. It just says mhiroof.com. Right, so you put the brand on there, and that's it. Boom, it's done. So those are little things that you want to try to do, is get your name and get your brand built to where it's recognizable, and you can pivot in different ways with it.
But for like a day one contractor or somebody in their first year, do you think that the money should go into brand before different means of advertising?
I think that they should sit down with their wife and their kids and their dad and their mom or whoever it is and say, hey, I want to start up Yellowstone roofing, right? We've been watching that series. Whatever it is, like whatever you come up with, right? Like I've seen a couple of cool brands that's come out. Yeti roofing, I thought that was pretty cool with Nate.
I came up with that with Roof Tiger about 6 months before Nate launched it. We were sitting at a client doing a consult together, and dude, I came up with a dope logo and everything when I saw him. And I was like, ha.
There it is. Yeah. But I mean, I think you have to start with the brand. What do you want this to look like in 5 years? What's your plan, right? Have a business plan of, do I plan on, is this going to be for my kids? Am I going to sell this in 3 to 5 years? What products do I want to offer? Like, keep it simple. Don't go in and say, I'll do everything and take on everything, because it only creates headaches. Know what you're good at. Like, if you're good at windows, just do windows. Just go in and do windows. Look at Window World. They do windows, right? They do doors now too, I guess, but they do, openings. So, I've always admired the Apple approach, right? Everybody that has Androids or whatever, or BlackBerry, but Apple they've got what, like 7 products, right? Maybe 7 or 8, right? Something and so they've got a very narrow line of product lines, and they're very successful, okay? Because they do what they do, and they do it great.
And they make very minimal improvements to each release and charge an arm and a leg for that next model.
Yeah, right.
I mean, I'm an Apple guy, so I get it. I don't know. Listen, if you text me and there's green bubbles, I'll fucking block you. All right?
It's the green screen of death. That's what I call it.
Approach me with some green bubbles. I'm kidding. I love all you Android users. I'm just fucking with you.
He's an Android user. Mark, this is spam. Marcus Chuck.
So you go with you try not to be the jack of all trades, master of none. You stay narrowly focused on things that you guys are really good at, and I'm sure it creates. I mean, we kind of do the same thing. I know how to do social media marketing. I understand the concepts of it. We could do email marketing. We could do all these different things to help people, but we focus on custom web design, SEO, and ads because it's very narrowly focused. It doesn't introduce a ton of friction when we stick with. We have very well-defined processes, and they're seemingly scalable. They've been scaling with the company, so that's very good. I'm sure we'll have to make some iterations of some. That's fine, but I see, and that's not to knock the people that are doing all services, because I see a lot of companies that do a lot of things very well, but it's just two different approaches to business. And like you said, sitting down and having that conversation and building a brand around that is really important. Yeah,
that's what you got to start with. I mean, things that aren't going to last. I mean, it is now, right? But in the next 5 to 10 years, when you look at the major brands in the world, they have one name to them, right? Apple, Google, you know what I mean? Amazon.
Johnson &
Johnson & Johnson, I guess, has two, but it's really Johnson.
But it's the same name, so I mean,
Yeah, Johnson & Johnson, right? But, but like McDonald's, whether you like McDonald's or not, it's a brand, right? McDonald's doesn't make hamburgers. They sell golden arches to kids.
They're in the real estate game, baby.
They're in the real estate game if you watched it, but if you watch the documentary on it. But at the end of the day, they're a brand. There's not a 3-year-old kid that you can drive by a McDonald's and them not point and go, because they saw the arches, right? Whether you liked McDonald's or not, the arches. If you looked at the Apple thing, what Steve Jobs did, why did the MacBooks glow the apple in the back? They just stopped that like 2-3 years ago because there was no need for it, no use for it. But he said, I want, when somebody's in a room or in a coffee shop or whatever, I want my logo to stand out. I want people to see it. I want it to glow.
So like
that's
in in 2023, how every time you see
a
rocket
on
the wall, on the shirt, on a hat, or a rocket
I think
emoji.
Elon Musk.
Yeah.
I think Elon Musk.
God damn it! All right, well, back to the drawing board.
Kim Jong-un, right? He was Rocket Man, right? Every time I see a rocket, I'm thinking Elon Musk or Kim Jong-un. Yep, that's it. Oh, no, wait. Michael Stearns. I apologize.
Yeah, that guy, yeah. That's, no, I agree wholeheartedly, especially with the child analogy with McDonald's. Brand is super important. It's for me, I think understanding what your brand is going to be, and then obviously branding need to be looked at through a little bit of a different lens, because
well look at Chick-fil-A, right? So sorry, that's how we call it. We have our one of our kids used to call it Chick-fil-A. Chick-fil-A, yeah, we call it Chick-fil-A. But anyway, but so look, they've got 11 products on their menu. Mm-hmm. And they by far, like, if you look at the building to building, they have like triple the profits of the McDonald's or the Arby's or the Hardee's that's beside them, with 11 products on their menu.
They have like 14 something % less opportunity because they're closed on Sundays.
Correct, and they outperform everybody. Right, but
they're doing it right. By the way, they're fucking chicken nuggets, the ones that aren't breaded, their grilled nuggets are fucking amazing. You can't touch them.
They are good, dude.
Yeah.
I love the grilled nuggets. Yeah, they're good.
Shout out Chick-fil-A. Actually, last time I was in Chick-fil-A, I think was when I was in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, Chick-fil-A. And that, I mean, so like when you start thinking of the big brands and the people that are making money, they know what they do and they do it well and they keep a narrow focus. When you start getting out into other things is when you start losing money, you start losing focus. Like if they would start selling hamburgers, you'd be like, what? You know what I mean? Like, why is Chick-fil-A, why do they sell hamburgers? Like, they're a chicken place. Like, I want chicken, I'm going there.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think that's
their brand.
That was I think it will continue and always will be, like, my biggest challenge with running a business is staying focused.
Yeah.
Stay focused. There's so many different ways to make money, so many opportunities, so many ideas, and it's like, rein it in, Mike. Focus on what
Yeah.
you guys do and do it well and keep doing it really well. Rinse and repeat.
Yeah.
I get very easily distracted.
Yeah. Well, and it's all about the production process too, right? So, if I'm a new business owner and I want to start a new roofing company, I'm going to first make sure I have a brand. Second, I want to make sure I got some financial backing. Whether that means that I have to save up for the next 3 years and put stuff back while I'm building my brand, having it there, I've got a friend of mine that like before he goes to a market, he starts marketing in there and starts building SEO for 2-3 years out, and he kills it. And so,
Send him my way.
I kind of learned that. So I learned that concept, right? So like he was never in the Morgantown market, and he's starting to come up that way now. But like every time I looked at something online, it was like he was there. Like boom, there's an impression. Well, he was giving me all of his leads at the time. Like, hey man, I was giving you all of those leads, but he was building up his SEO for, and his organic search for the day when he's ready to come. Like he just turns it on, puts in a salesman, and he'll do $3-4 million in that market this year, right? But he invested his time and his energy. So it's the same thing before you go into business. Is have that stuff ready to go. Like know what you want, know how you want to do it.
Playing chess, not checkers on that one. Smart.
Playing chess, dude. Playing chess. Well, I mean, to be honest, that's what we did here in Florida. We had it ready. It's ready to go. I was SEOing it and had it going, and then, I was giving leads away to guys that I knew here. I learned the concept. I didn't make it up. I learned the concept from somebody else. Hurricane Ian hits, and we were already here, licensed and doing some work, but I wasn't doing a lot, and now we're here. Living in the RV resort.
Yeah, I think that's important. And I always struggle with this because there's so much information. There's a small percentage of information that you're going to find on the internet that's reliable and good. And, do your best to find good information and use that information. Don't be afraid to adopt things that you're learning from other people and trying them for yourself, because you'll do well by doing it. Look at you in Florida, right?
Yeah.
I've picked up a ton of shit off of the internet. That's worked very well for me over the course of my life. But you gotta filter it.
Well, it's the delayed the delayed gratification. Most people don't want the delayed part of this, right? They want the gratification, but they don't want to just wait for it to happen or build that to the future. They want it right now. It's instant now, right? It's the DoorDash effect. Everybody wants it right now. They want to be able to see what's in front of them. I can, like, when it comes to marketing, Mike, right? So like I think of it this way. Everybody's looking for the magic pill that, all right, I pay Mike $10,000 a month. He runs my website. He brings me in Google ads, and I should be able to make X. Don't get me wrong. Like there's a number that you can put to it, but you've also got to put some sweat equity into it as well. You got to know how to manage Mike and make sure that he's representing your company the proper way. The one thing always frustrated me, and I'm friends with a few of you guys, right, as far as the digital marketing guys, that frustrates me, not with you, but I see it from the ugly roof side with contractors. It's like, all right, I'm signed up, let's get it going, and then everybody goes dark, and they don't talk to you for 6 months. And they're like, why is it not working? Well, we've had 7 meetings, and we've not been able to meet with you. So as a roofing company owner, when you want to take something on, invest your time, energy, and your knowledge into it. Find the thing that you hate to do the most, right? I hate the books. I love numbers, but I hate the books, right? I hate dealing with the accounting part of it. So what I did about 5-6 years ago was I said, you know what? I hate it so much, I'm going to learn how to do it. Because I want to be able to hire somebody that can do it, but I need to know how it works. I need to know how it operates. So I learned QuickBooks. I learned how it all works. I learned how to read a balance sheet. I learned how to make a P&L sheet. I learned what the numbers actually meant, right? And then I learned how to check it and audit it. So now I can hand this over to somebody else. So take the thing that you don't want to do, tackle that first, right? I like to do the numbers on the sales side and the marketing side. I didn't tackle that first because I knew I already had a natural talent and I wanted to do it. So I would fill those things in, right, in my spare time of doing the crap I hated, because I wanted to learn the crap I hated so I could teach somebody to do it, right? That's what Ty and I both do. We divide and conquer. Like there's certain things that he doesn't like to do, and I don't like to do, and that he does like to do, and and vice versa. So as business partners, we divide and conquer, but also like the things that we don't like, we learn how to do it. We conquer it. We say, here's the SOP for it. I need to hire you, or I've already got this person. Like here is part of your job with duties now. What can I do to help you? I work for you now. It's your department. What can I do to assist you? Like I think that's the biggest thing as you start to grow is the crap that you hate the most. That's the thing that you got to do the hardest and get it figured out, because you got to be able to checks and balances.
Yeah, that's right. Trust but verify. And how can you verify if somebody's doing the job you want them to do if you have no fucking idea what that job is?
If you know nothing about marketing, go take a marketing class, right? If you know nothing about production, go to NRCA or somewhere like that. Go take a class, like go learn it, right? If you know nothing about a certain subject, go learn it, because you got to manage that one day. Right now it's cool with your wife and you're kind of doing the payroll, but 4 years from now, when you get audited and they go back and your wife was doing the payroll wrong, not because she meant to, because she just thought that that's the way that you did it. Now you're backing up having to pay, a $20,000 bill. That's 20x because of all the interest and late payments. Right. So now it's $100,000 mistake. Right. So the stuff that you don't know about before you get into business, I mean, that's where my passion's at, Mike, is watching, because this industry has a lot of turnover. Like you're talking average, 2 to 3 years, and guys are out of business, because they're chasing the dollar, or they're chasing the truck or the boat or whatever it is, and they're not really focused on learning the hard crap and then passing that on to the next person to where they can manage that.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't agree more. As far as your statement on the marketing side, I see it all the time. I see it time and time again, and I'm not necessarily saying our clients, just from the outside looking in, even people getting upset, but they don't engage. And that's not necessarily something where that's going to dictate whether your campaign flourishes or fails, but it won't hurt for you to engage with the people that you're paying to represent your brand, right? like that engagement is a really welcome thing, and it's a really good thing, because there might be some pivots that you want to make. There might be changes within your company. And if the people that you're paying, whether you're paying them $10 or fucking $1 million a month, if they don't know, it's not their fault. Especially, if you have structured meetings and you're not showing up to them because you're not making them a priority, because you don't like to do it, because you feel like it's a waste of time.
Well, or because you paid them to do it. So it also comes down to this. It's the position that people think that they stand in, right? Everybody thinks that they're standing at the top looking down, which is totally reverse. Like they've got the pyramid wrong, right? The pyramid should be this way. They should be at the bottom looking up at everybody else that works within their network, right? Or within their company or whatever. So I think a lot of times guys will go in there and be like, hey, I'm paying you $10,000 a month to do this. Why is it not performing? It says, hey man, what can I do to make sure that we're doing this better? What do you need out of me, right? What do you need us to do? Like, I need an extra 30 leads, a week next year. What do I need to do to be able to get there? What do you need paid, right? Is this I put more money in and more leads could come out? And I'm just talking about the marketing side, right? Yeah. But you can take that same concept into every department in your company.
100%.
And even if you're small, if you're $1 million guy, it's still, there's no difference in $1 million and 10 million. There's no, it's just a few zeros, right? You still have the department, right? I might not need 3 people to run this one department. I might need, a half of a person to run this department and a half a person to run this department. So one person can run 2 departments, right? But you still have to know that there's departments for that scale for when you go to 3 million or 5 million or whatever the next step is. You got to think ahead and look at what that next step is. So master each step as you go. And as a business owner, nobody's going to have the same passion that you have for your product, because they don't make the same money that you can make, right? So they're not going to have the same passion.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I like that message, because all too often you see, like, money doesn't fix the problem. You can throw a bunch of fucking money at something, and it's not necessarily going to fix the issue. So,
Correct.
if you're not handling your leads correctly, or if your salespeople aren't following a sales process, and they're closing at shit percentages, you can get fucking 1,000 more leads, and if your closing percentage is 15%, it's still 15%, and you've just spent an insane amount of money to lose all that additional opportunities if you should be at 35-40%, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's an issue where so you got to look in the mirror and say, okay, so what are we doing wrong on our side of things? And I'm not saying this to wiggle out of like accountability for marketing companies, because there's plenty of shitty marketing companies too.
100%.
But like you said, immersing yourself in the shit that you don't want to do. So setting processes, putting people in the right seats, and then actually managing them, or having somebody who you can rely on to actually manage those processes and check in with people, have routine meetings, and do things that are going to impact the culture and productivity of your team. Fucking huge.
Yeah.
And it's an oversight a lot of times.
Well, and I think that's what's missed out, and that's why guys don't go to the next level. They go out of business after they hit $1 million, $1.5 million, and then they try to do it again, and they do it again. Like, I messed up when I was first building houses. Like, I was a horrible manager. Like, I figured out quick, like, I like people too much, right? So I'm awful at managing. And I think one thing that I even heard, which was, I think it was Gary Vee, and this was like, I had started this years prior, but he made it more clear. The problem with us as small business owners is we hire somebody, like I hire Mike, right? So I hire you to be a sales rep. I hire you because I see the potential in you. It's hard for me as a business owner to fire Mike, right? Because I saw all that potential in Mike, and Mike's not living up to it. So therefore, I must have done something wrong. So what can I do? Or I get complacent, or I do something different, or I don't put in the right time and energy, and I don't do the right thing for my company and my family and the other 4 to 10 families I'm feeding. Yeah. I don't fire Mike, right? Even though it was probably my fault to begin with, because my process sucked. Right? I didn't train Mike properly. So you had to go back and do some extreme ownership, which is a great book there. If nobody's read that book, like, that's your number one book before you get into any business, is extreme ownership, because you have to understand that the world around you, it's you own. So, but back to it there with Mike. If I didn't give Mike everything he needed, it's my fault, right? But Mike comes to a stage where he's no longer employable because I messed up. So I have a hard time firing Mike or cutting the ties and starting over and redevelop him because of my own ego. And you got to get your ego out of the way, right? You got to have a process. I don't trust people at all, right? So that's the thing. This is what this goes all the way back to. I don't trust the people, but I trust the process. I know that my accounting is set the right way, that I trust that process to do that. Quick tip for anybody as you grow: separate out AR clerk and AP clerk. It should never be the same person, right? Hire somebody to come in once a year to audit all the books. That is not your accountant and is not your AR or the AP. Pay a guy. Cost you $10,000 a year. It's worth every penny, because they'll find stuff that somebody might have done or misclassified or whatever.
Accounts receivable, accounts payable, AR, AP, fellas.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So get somebody from the outside, fresh perspective, unbiased, run an audit, cost $10,000. It could save you considerable.
Millions.
And it's as much as it's the money. If you catch something that could potentially get you audited. I mean,
yeah.
I've never been audited, but all the stories that I hear about is less than pleasant.
Well, the main thing that they'll audit is going to be your 941s and all of your payroll taxes. That's the stuff that they're going to look at. And something else too, I would say, is what's coming to an end quickly is this 1099 game for sales reps and how people are operating a business. Like, that comes back. It takes one dissident employee, independent contractor, to come back and say, hey, I wasn't treated as an IA, I was treated as an employee, and they audit everything. I've seen it time and time again with guys getting busted with that, and then you wind up they crack your books back 7 years, and everybody that you paid a 1099 to, they interview, and they put them through this key factor test, right? Well, did they control your schedule? Did they schedule the appointment and say you had to be there at 8 o'clock? Did you have to attend trainings? Did you have to use their systems and processes? And once that happens, you're going out of business. Like you can't pay the payroll tax, and now you're living with this debt over your head. So guys just think that they can jump in, feed first. Now I'm an action versus theory guy, right? Like you put it into action and do things, but do the right actions.
Fuck. Some good tips.
I mean, we went deep, Sturge. We went deep.
Those are some good tips. Different AR, different AP. I like that. Have someone audit your shit. It's good. Keep you out of harm's way. Have you ever been involved in an audit? On the business end of an audit?
I have.
How was that?
I mean, if your stuff's in order, you're good to go. A couple of companies I've worked for in the past, their stuff wasn't in order, and so it's not fun. It's not a fun. That's where you learn, right? It's all about experience. It's just you don't know until you know. Like until you're right in the middle. Yeah. So my dad, you used to say this, and God rest his soul, because we actually buried him a year ago today. But
sorry for your loss.
That's okay, man. I appreciate that. So he used to say it's hard to remember the main objective was to drain the swamp when you're up to your asshole in alligators, right? So that correlates into a lot of things in life, right? So so just keep that in mind. Is like you got to stay focused on. I mean, it goes back to everything we talked about. It's focused on your mission. What is your mission?
Mission control.
Mission control.
So, have you ever watched or listened or consumed the Mission Control podcast prior to being on it today?
A few things, but I usually watch your snippets, your little shorts you do on
little short form
YouTube.
content.
Yeah.
Haven't piqued your interest enough to come click through and listen to an episode, huh? I'm doing a poor job. That's what that tells me.
No. I've listened to what was his name? Was it Pete that you were on with? Pistol Pete?
I've been on with Process Pete a couple times.
Yeah. So I listened to his all the way through. No, I mean, it's a good podcast. So, again, I guess I've become my own consumer, right? I like short video content. Like, I like under 3 minutes. You get that one point, and then in 20 minutes, I'm going to get the same podcast thing that you had, but in a shorter clip again, this one thing you got. So I consume content that way now instead of long form.
Interesting. So maybe I'm not doing it. Maybe I am doing it wrong, but for a different reason. Maybe I need to stop putting out short form content so that people can't think that I'm going to give you all the juicy nuggets. Huh. And we can test it. We can A/B test it.
I would do a blind test on that for sure all day.
All right, we got 0 hours of listen time in the last month. Turns out it could have gotten worse than it did.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So,
well, I was going to ask you what your favorite piece of content you've consumed from the podcast has been, but since you don't listen to it, I guess it doesn't fucking matter.
I'm such a butthole, right? No, so again, I've got into short form content, I guess, because my attention span is like everybody else. It's getting shorter, and so I watch that 1 to 3 minute snips, man, and I like that. So I couldn't tell you the podcast it was. Like I could tell you some of the information.
You're like one of the. You're like the guy that doesn't want to wait for the SEO. You want the pay per click because you're gonna get the leads now, bro. You don't want to wait for the info.
Well, so I watched your fireside one that you did. You know what I mean?
Right, so you only watch podcasts that have to do with our guys over at Roofer. I appreciate that support. So I got to get Nikki Baby and fucking Process Pete in here more often in the studio.
I guess it just popped up my stuff. But I thought the fireside chat thing was awesome.
Well, the fireside chat thing, I tagged you because you were mentioned in it.
Oh, okay.
I was like, check
That might
this
be why I
out,
asked
bros. We talked about you on here. So I either got to have the whole roofer team on, or I got to fucking stroke your ego by mentioning you if I want you to. It's fine. I can do that. It's okay. I'll work you into every podcast moving forward.
So, just to be fair, I don't listen to a whole lot of podcasts. Like, I do a lot of them, I guess, with guys, but I don't listen to a whole lot of them.
Gotcha.
I listen to a lot of audiobooks, but so if there's a podcast that I have watched several of, it's not in this industry. It would probably be Joe Rogan and Brad
Rogan.
Lee. I'm a Brad Lee fan. I like his dropping bombs too, man. He does some pretty cool stuff with that. And Jocko's is good, Jocko Willink. So I've listened to those 3 podcasts quite a bit.
So you like audiobooks, so when I drop my book, you're going to purchase it and listen to it, correct?
Sure, absolutely. I like books.
Okay.
I like being talked at, I guess. I don't know the right word with that.
Got
Like,
it.
talk at me.
Talk at.
Talk at me.
Okay, all right. Well, listen, we learn things, and then we evolve, and we pivot.
Yeah.
And if I want to reach the Broces of the world, I got to make books and short form video. Got it.
Well, or just take what you know and cut it up in short form and like, I think that's where it's going, and that's like, I've been against it for a long time, but when you look at it now, it's like, yeah, it's probably what's going to happen, you know.
Yeah. What is single-handedly the most effective piece of advertising that you've ever put out?
Wow, that's a pretty good. That's a loaded question. This most successful single form of advertising I've ever put out. I think it's got to go back to some of the. I think it's the trademark stuff, dude. Like, it's still part of the brand. Like, we do this every single day. I think it's the most effective thing that we've done, and because it goes across all platforms at that point, right? So our TV and our radio and our billboards, like, it's like, oh, you're the shingle guy. Like, you're the every shingle day guy. Like, Ty gets that a lot because he's the face of the company with it. So I think it's probably the single most best thing that we've ever done is find what's a good word for it? I can't use hook. A slogan, right? A good
Son
slogan.
Of a bitch. The slogan, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, but you got to find something that lightens people's mood and puts them into a good mood to want to talk to you.
I like
and
that.
Like we get phone calls all the time. We're like, we don't really need a roof. We just wanted you to know that your all's slogan is awesome, you know. And they hang up. Well, they don't hang up, but they talk to our receptionist, our scheduling girls.
Well, hopefully your marketing company's not trying to count that as a lead.
Yeah, well, you know, everything's a lead with Jim, right?
Yeah, yeah, me too. I'm like, yeah, all these leads. Yeah, we actually got one. So, 100. I need to find a face for the company. That's what I need to do. I'm over here with fucking. I don't even know what it's called, dude. It hurts.
But you got a radio face.
I got a face for radio. Yes, I do.
Yeah. That's why this podcast will be successful one day, I think. So,
I mean, no one listens to it, so I don't know.
But it's content, man, right? So that's what it is. Is you can take that content and cut it up. I think that
it's interesting. It is interesting because I see. You know, it's one of those things where it's like, okay, you've got 800 downloads, or you got 80 views on this one, 30 views on this one, and average listen time is 6 minutes. But you know what? I've seen on multiple occasions people pull things out and quote them. I saw this over here. I watched this. Mike had a podcast. It just happened recently with the one that I did in the Blizzard with Ty Backer. And somebody had tagged me, and then it's like, I saw Mike and Ty talking about this, and I really liked this. So we made a difference.
No. Actually, it was DoorDash. I don't even know. I guess my wife ordered DoorDash, so we're in this. It's gated here at this resort, and somehow the guy came in, and my wife's out by the gate waiting on food, I guess. So I guess it was my night to cook, so here's the DoorDash.
fucking starving. I'm gonna eat something here in
Wow.
a little bit when we wrap up. I'm gonna go get a tuna tartare.
Ooh, that doesn't sound good at all.
You got the
tartare
palate
doesn't
of a
sound
back
good.
end of a dog.
Well, yeah.
One thing to stay away from for those watching is chicken tartare.
Any tartare.
What, dude?
Tartare.
You don't like steak tartare?
Nah, I don't like anything that's raw. Like,
What do you eat?
like-
Your shit well done?
no, I'm a medium rare.
Like
I
medium
like
rare.
it medium rare, but yeah, but I just don't. I can't.
The texture?
What's that?
Is it texture or is it all of it? The fact that you feel like it's like alive? Thought of bacteria, foodborne illness. Like what is it for you?
Yeah, so like, I don't know when we invented fire, but I know we've had it a while.
Uh-huh.
So I don't want to go back to caveman days, but before we had fire. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it's the foodborne illness thing. It's the fear of that. So I had and so like,
tapeworm or something.
yeah, I don't eat mayonnaise now either.
I fucking hate mayonnaise.
So we had it was like a homecoming at church one time when I was younger, and there was like some macaroni salad or potato salad or something had mayonnaise in it, and I was sick for like weeks. Like, it was awful. Like, food poisoning was awful.
You got a DoorDash again, or
I think it's my wife.
no? This
I
time
think
it's,
my wife
Uber
this
Eats. So I'll be right back.
Yeah, I got to get 2 meals tonight, so yeah, it's good. No, it's my wife. She was out waiting by the gate on it. So
Yeah. That's so funny. If you had to take a look, what did you guys do in revenue in 2022? If you don't mind sharing.
11 million.
11
Well,
million.
in the north, 11 million. We did 4 million in the south here.
Okay. So 11 million up north, and that's your primary market. So let's start there. So of that 11 million, how much of that broke down into like internet advertising versus traditional advertising? Because I see people argue all the time for one way or the other, and I think that there's opportunities for both to really thrive and flourish.
So I'll give you a number that's going to blow your mind on it, right? And it's actually postcards and direct mail and automation with dope marketing. I guess I'm giving a shout out today with it, but we just put those numbers together. So we generated like $2.7 million from direct mail this year, which everybody says that direct mail is dead, right? But again, it's all about the brand recognition. It's all about the consistency. It's all about. It still goes back to the same opinion of you got to have that 5 to 10 touches before somebody buys.
Yeah.
So I could directly attribute $2.7 million of our sales to postcards. So I've got that number for sure. As far as like my percentage of my percentage of marketing, right now I'm going to say probably 60% of our marketing cost is going to be the digital and online. Probably 20% is TV. Probably 25. I'd say it's even more than that. 7% was postcards.
Now, does
I
that
do know
deliver
number.
a proportionate return? So is 60% of that 11 million coming from Google? Is 20% coming from traditional media?
Yes. Yeah. So it's hard to measure, though, right? So it's hard to measure.
Well, then you got to stop doing it.
Approach.
If you can't measure it.
You can measure it, but it's hard to measure. It's hard to measure TV, right? It's really hard to measure TV unless you put up a different website or a tracking phone number or QR code. So we do that stuff, but it winds up not measuring like you think it would measure. So you'll still get that impression, and then they'll call you from the postcard that came in the mail and said, "Hey, yeah, I just got a postcard, but I saw you on TV last week." Right? So it's hard to, if it's not like a web form or if it's not a direct phone call, it's really hard to measure where it came from. You can measure it, don't get me wrong here, but it's very hard to say, yes, this is definitely a TV lead. Yes, this is definitely a postcard lead.
And the data's not anywhere near as reliable.
It's not.
You know, I used to work for you. I used to sell phone book ads. Phone book still works, believe it or not, in some places. And it's almost like there was a shame around like people saying that they were calling from the phone book, because the person answering the call, thank you for calling ABC Roofing. How can I help you? How'd you hear about us? I found you on the internet. But they're calling a number that's only on a Yellow Page ad.
Right.
Right. Or maybe in some of those instances, maybe they looked the person up online afterwards, and they didn't attribute it to the initial fact that they found them in the internet, or in the phone book, which triggered them to look on the internet. So, that happens all the time. But a lot of people take that mindset out. That's why I was being funny. Is, well, if I can't measure it and I can't attribute it, well then fuck, it's not happening. And it's not the case.
No, I'm with you on that. I mean, it's so there's a couple of ways to look at this too, right? So you can look at a loop marketing campaign type of stuff. We do more of an omnipresent, to where I want to hit you from the Facebook ad to the to the postcard to the TV that's going to run, and like everything has to be consistent. Would be the right word, or congruent, I guess. Like it's all got to like play onto each other, right? So like whatever I'm doing with my digital marketing ads, I'm doing something similar, or I'm using the same verbiage in my TV ads or my Facebook ads or whatever it is. So you want the consistency across it, or continuity, I guess is what I'm looking for. Like you've got to have the same color, the same the same logo, the same like it's got to have the same font. Like I'm very picky on our font, but like our font has to be the same on my Facebook ad as what it is in our proposal. Right. So we want our font to be exactly the same. And if you go in and find our font, and then it's got to have the perfect spacing, right? So it's a -1 spacing or whatever it is, right? So like I'm that crazy with it, right? And our graphic designer, like he gets it, So whether we're using a script font or we're using a, whatever the font name is on it, like, you want all that to be consistent, because that is part of the brand. Right. Again, it comes full circle back to the brand. But when you connect it together with like a marketing campaign for postcards or for direct, some type of handwritten mail that's going to the homeowner, right? Now you hyper target this within a 1 mile radius, and now I'm dumping in 700 postcards 6 or 7 times with this Facebook ad. Now it's effective. Now they click on that Facebook ad and they're ready to buy, because they saw our yard sign, they saw a door hanger the guys left, they saw 4, 5, 6 postcards, they saw the TV ad, they saw 3 different Facebook ads that finally hit them. Like, oh, it's convenient now. Let's click that Facebook form lead now. So I can tell which Facebook forms are working the best, because I know what campaign it's attached to. So when we're just doing general Facebook leads, they don't work that well. But what does work for Facebook in my mind is, if you're boosting a post or whatever. But I do a lot of Facebook stuff and look at it as I do TV. It's more of a branding tool, right? I'm just getting my impression with my logo running through their feed, over and over and over and over again. Then they get the postcard. We're hitting them with the postcard, right? Then we're hitting them with the TV. Then they're getting the little whatever it is, right? So you're hitting them from all angles, and finally they're scrolling through one day, and the retargeting one pops up. It's like, what have you been waiting on? Like, you need a roof inspection, and they click on that form, right? But it's not because it's that form. It's because the other 14 things that hit them.
Yeah, I think a lot of people make the mistake of just trying to hammer a bunch of Facebook ads for acquisition, and
it sucks.
Yeah, I mean, you can get leads. I think when a huge storm hits, you're more apt to get the inspections and do a little bit better. But especially in a retail market, if you're going in full steam ahead for acquisition on Facebook, you're gonna be really fucking disappointed. It's a lot of tail chasing. Your reps are gonna hate it. You're gonna call 100 leads and 20 of them are gonna respond. A small percentage of those will actually meet and be actual qualified appointments. It's I like that approach, is using it for branding, and that's what I tell my guys all the time. So
it you stay relevant going through their feed. So make sure it's your logo and your font and everything we're talking about all matches up, right? So if you run a campaign that says we tell our customers no, which is what we do, right? That's like a shock value, and that brings it out to them. Now, what do you mean? You tell your customers, well, no, with no money down, with no payments for 18 months and no interest, right? So we tell our customers no, right? So, but that was one of those shock value things that draws the customer in. But that doesn't work until it's a retargeting ad after they saw everything else and they saw our brand. Like, what's this jackass got to say now? You know, like, he's been in my feed for the last 3 weeks, you know?
Yeah, that's good shit, dude. I like we talk customers now.
Yeah.
You're good, you're good. So, if I'm let's start a new roofing company. Let's say you were to start a new roofing company tomorrow in, I don't know.
Which market?
Arizona.
Arizona, okay.
You're going to go out to Arizona and start a roofing company. And let's assume you're going to take a retail approach.
Okay.
If you've got $60,000 for your budget for marketing and advertising, how are you going to spend that money?
So we got $60,000. Let me grab a calculator. So $60,000 means that I want to be able to do, $600,000 to $900,000 in revenue off of $60K. So 7 to 10%. So for $60,000, I'm probably, so brand new, right? So I don't have a brand yet. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to hire somebody to build my actual brand, right? So I'm going to get somebody to build my logo. We're going to sit down. We're going to design this out. Probably going to cost me, let's say, $5,000 to get that going, right? So that's the first investment I'm going to make on my marketing side. Have the brand ready to go. Have the colors, have the, whatever's local that's going to make sense, it's going to stand out. Whatever the name of the company is, right? It's going to be Mike Stern's Enterprises or whatever it is, right?
It's a great name. Beautiful brand.
I'm going to build that brand out, right? And so I'm going to have that ready to go. The next thing I want to dump into is I'm going to have a website. So, I'm going to call one of the website guys, right, that specializes in roofing, like, that are roofing marketing guys. Like, that's what I want to do. I want to spend probably what's your website cost? 10K?
Depends.
I mean, what can I get started with 15 pages?
I think. Do you have to build your forever home?
No, but I need to build it on the platform where I don't have to change it again. So if I'm going to build it on a WordPress site or I'm going to build it on whatever, like, you've got to study and know where that you're going to build from, and that is big enough to build with you.
Let's say for round numbers, you're going to spend $10,000 on the website.
Okay, so now we're
at 15.
50. Yep, so I got 5K left, right? So now I'm going to go buy a bunch of door hangers, and I'm going to find some high school kids that want to do some evening and weekends, or it depends on what time of the year it is, but they just want to go door hang, right? I'm going to pay those guys, let's say $100 a day to get out there and start door hanging. Okay, I'm going to go in there. I'm going to find a neighborhood. So it depends on what the product I'm doing, right? So like if I'm using my ugly roof, which is a good reason why a roofing company should have a roof rejuvenation and repair, I'm going to find a neighborhood at the very corner, right, that this house needs our services. I'm going to do that job free. I'm going to send those kids in to put out door hangers and invitations. I'm going to have an open house on that next Saturday, and I'm going to invite everybody over to look at this roof that we just did. I'm going to pull out probably 6 to 10 leads out of that, and I still got 40,000 left, right? And then I'm going to repeat that process probably another 10 to 15 times. I'm going to do these, showcase home events. I'm going to buy a little tent.
You're going to do a new roof or a rejuvenation?
A rejuvenation or a repair, or a new roof. Let's say I sell a new roof. Let's say it's a small enough roof that I can do a free roof there, right? Just to get into a neighborhood. I've got 40K to spend, so why couldn't I spend 80K on a roof? Right? So you got to think outside the box of how to use that money. I've got the website, so the SEO is kind of being built there, right? You're going to build it in when you build the website. I might not be paying $10,000 a month for SEO, but I'll at least have a website for people to go and park. So now I'm professional. It looks like I've been doing this. I'm not just a chuck in the truck. I want to make sure I got on a polo You're going to put all those things into place. I'm going to spend $6K on a wrap. So now we're down to what, $30K? But I'm going to start the organic way of going into these places with door hangers and high school kids and myself, and do some free jobs that are on the corner, invite people down, and I'm going to start shaking hands and kissing babies.
What if you had $120,000?
I'm probably going to do the same thing, but I'll probably hire an employee. Right? I'm going to hire an employee to train. So I wouldn't take all that 120 for just marketing. I would put, I'd probably take the 60 to 80 still and put it into marketing, and then have that reserve backed up for their salary until we get some revenue going.
I really like that. So sweat equity style. You're gonna go out there, get your hands dirty, do some shit for free, build a relationship in communities.
Well, that's how the ugly roof idea started. My wife and I had a company called Rooftop Restoration, and we went out there and worked with just me and her, and we did $1.5 million to $2 million, and just cleaning and small repairs and all that kind of stuff. And I hired my son-in-law and 3 other kids, and that's all they did. We literally just went from house to house, and I would go in and have you ever seen those window cleaner guys when they go in and they get an appointment to do one window, then three days ahead of time they throw yard signs up and they send a crew of kids in there to pass out these flyers and say, hey, we're going to be in the neighborhood next week, we could do your job at half price. Right, so they're already there, and they wind up doing 14 window washing jobs in a day. It's the same process. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to find one of my low ticket items and give it away. I'm going to do a roof cleaning or a roof rejuvenation or a roof repair or whatever it is that I'm going to add into my product, and give it away. And then I knock on doors. I've got a showcase home. I talk to people about who we are and what we do. Now you're selling more roofs.
I like that shit, dude. That's smart.
Yeah, and now you've got. I've probably spent probably 30 to 40,000. I've still got 20K, for equipment or whatever else that I might need.
But assuming that 20K was for advertising only, you had your other bases covered.
Yeah.
How would you invest the other 20?
It's still going to be the same thing. I might start doing some Facebook ads, hyper targeted, just for branding's sake. Just start running, $100 a day or something, and just
you wouldn't do any Google local services, any Google ads. That'd be more of a year 2 thing.
So I would do LSA, but you're talking day 1, I'm going to go ahead and start doing that. But it's going to take you 60 to 90 days before that starts working, because I just got in business. I got to make sure my license is in place. I got to make sure of all that stuff. So it's going to take you 30 to 90 days before they turn you on. So I've got to get reviews, right? I've got to get all that stuff before I go to the top of the list. So that I'm going to do that paperwork, but I don't think I'm going to invest anything at all until they actually turn it on. But LSA is one of the cheapest leads that you can buy if you're established, for sure.
Fucking amazing. Really is.
I bet we probably had. The last time I looked was about 3 weeks ago, but we had 800 LSA leads in Florida in an 8-week period. It's crazy.
It's crazy.
Yeah, I just put it on max. The max that you can do is 100,000 a week. I just put it on max. I'm not spending that, but I put it on max. Max it out.
Whatever it takes.
Whatever it takes, just put me first.
Yeah, please. Please and thank you. So, can I have another?
Can I have another, please?
Yeah.
I would like some more soup, please.
What's and we're gonna run out of time here soon, so I don't want to keep you too long, but
you're good, buddy.
What's one lesson that you've learned throughout the years that you would impart on someone who's listening?
So, it's kind of a dual answer, I'd say, but it's be patient. Not everybody's like you. right? That's the hardest thing to learn, is that your expectations of what you can do is not what somebody else's strengths are. So learn to hire your weaknesses, but know that you can do your weaknesses, just like we talked about in the beginning. So I guess to kind of wrap it up into one, be able to identify your strengths and weaknesses, right? And know what you got to work on, and know that it's okay to hire out weaknesses, but not until you know how to do it.
It's really good advice, and I love the not expecting yourself out of people.
Yeah.
Type deal.
Yeah, I mean it's one of those things that it's a personality thing, right? I mean, not everybody has the same work ethic or drive or personality, or there's these different abilities. I mean, there's different talent levels. There's just different ethics with everything. So don't expect everybody to be just like you.
Yeah, and honestly, I'll take the guy or gal with the drive over the guy that's supremely talented.
Yep.
99 times out of 100. Because you can't teach that shit. You can't teach that ambition, that pursuit, that proactive nature. And maybe that guy or girl with talent has it, or maybe not. But I'll tell you what, for those that have that work ethic, you can teach them anything you want for the most part, and they'll fucking kill it for you.
Well, we grade on 3 things: attitude, effort, and performance. Right? So, and it's in that order. So we have everybody in the company will go in, the management team and whatever, but they'll go in and grade each employee and each person, up and down the chain. It's not like I'm grading, the project managers. The project managers are grading me. But it's all about attitude, effort, performance. So if your attitude's good and the effort's there, the performance will come. If the performance doesn't come, then you're in the wrong position, right? So, but if you've got good attitude and good effort, I want to keep you on my team. So I will repurpose your position into something else and make a position just for you, right? We can solve issues with stuff like that. As long as your attitude's there and you put in effort, the performance will come. You might not have the right talent or the right skill set or the right whatever for whatever that position is. I've got some guys that were sales reps that, man, had great attitude, great effort, but they just couldn't close the front door. So they wound up, because they had too much sympathy, right? But they made great customer service reps because they could listen to the customer, talk to the customer, get to the root of the problem, and then pass that information on. So you find out understanding what their strengths and weaknesses are, and you cater to their strengths. And if you got to make a position for a guy that has great attitude and effort, make it around his strengths, and and make sure that he can succeed in that. So.
Attitude, effort, and performance makes a lot of sense. Very simple, but when you roll it out that way, that makes a ton of sense.
Yeah, it's fun. It's easier that way.
If you got a shitty attitude, performance probably isn't going to come. And you probably
doesn't matter.
As much effort, right? And you're probably creating a toxic culture that is going to bring everyone else down, right?
First step is attitude. First step is attitude. If you got the right attitude, you're on the team right now. If you're putting in the effort, something good's going to happen. He's got a good attitude. He's got good effort. He might be in the wrong position. So that's where the performance thing comes in. But learn to grade your guys on a curve too, right? So know that when you bring in a new rep, they're not going to close at 62%. My highest guy this year was 68%. They're not going to close at 60, 80%. So you got to set thresholds. Hey, if they're going to start out at 30. Then he's got to move to 35. But you got to see the progression. Attitude's there, effort's there, and then he starts to go up. That's on the sales side. But it's any position in the company.
It's wise advice, my friend. So if there's one more thing, let's say this is the one thing that I snip into that short form content that someone like you will watch. There's one thing that you want to say to those listening. What would that be?
Well, you got to give me a subject at least. There's a lot of things I could say.
No.
So one thing that I would say to any of your listeners out there, right? That's what you're looking for. So if you're in the roofing industry, make it sexy. Let's not be the guy that shows up and doesn't have on a polo and a pair of slacks, or at least a nice pair of shorts. Like, let's make roofing sexy again. It's one of the lowest rated trades according to consumers. I just want to see everybody just start to be more professional in what they do, and that breeds good competition too when you do that. So we like good competition. Just stop being slime ball. Just look at yourself and make sure that you're doing the right thing. You can look at character, integrity, and reputation, right? We have this conversation. What's the most important? Reputation is merely what everybody thinks about you. Anybody can have integrity, but character is who you are when no one's looking. So who are you when no one's looking there? Because back to the integrity side, I can have integrity and do the right thing when somebody's looking and I've got eyes on me. But if nobody's looking, would I still do the same thing? So try to find out where your true character is at and stick to that.
Dropping bombs, brother. Well, I'll tell you what. Aside from my fucked up eye and my shitty camera, because my camera's not working either.
I lost my light too.
Yeah, I mean, we persevered, and that's going to be the theme of 2023. It's the year of the honey badger, if you saw my post. I want people to be tenacious, ferocious, and aggressive as fuck in obtaining their goals.
This one is ferocious. Can you tell?
Yeah, I can tell, yeah. And I want you to persevere. So all the shit that's going to happen, there's going to be a lot of shit that happens in business, personally. You know what? Roll with the punches, make that lemonade.
Yep.
And maybe you have a fucked up eye for your honeymoon that you're about to go on, or maybe you're in the middle of a podcast and you don't have light, or your camera sucks. Do it. Bite down on your mouthpiece and keep pushing forward.
That's it, buddy. That's it.
Yeah, man. I really appreciate you, and I appreciate everyone that's tuning in.
All right, man. Appreciate you, Mike. This was fun.